Welcome back. Well, both of them join us this morning to talk about their candidacy. Muhammad Jajari is the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party. He joins us here in the studios. And then we've got Umar Alkali, who is the candidate for the NNPP, who joins us from our studios in Maiduguri. Gentlemen, good morning and thank you for coming on today. But let me start with Mr. Alkali in our studios in Maiduguri. Yes, indeed, it's this weekend that we will have the governorship elections. But if you could talk to us about your campaign and the atmosphere in the state now, is it conducive for campaigns? Because previously we had some reports making the round. So what can you tell us about how the atmosphere is at the moment?
Thank you very much, somebody, for having me, and good morning, Nigerians.
Mr. Akali, that's for you.
Thank you very much, somebody, for having me. Thank you very much, somebody, for having me. Good morning, Nigerians. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me? Hello? Hello?
Okay, yeah, okay, I think you just heard a bit of it. Could you go ahead, please?
Yeah, good morning, Chamberlain.
Morning. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good morning, Nigerians. Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
I'm not hearing you.
We can hear you here, but if you can, okay, well, can you now?
Okay. Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you now.
All right.
Good morning. Thank you very much, somebody, for having me. Good morning, Nigerians. Actually, the election, the atmosphere of the election in the state is relatively conducive. We've gone around the whole 27 local governments in the state, and we had our campaigns. And we believe that this week election is going to be more fair than the last election we had. Honestly, there's no problem, and we are very much prepared for it, inshallah.
Okay, so at the moment, we've seen, because a yardstick that lots of people reference is the last elections, the presidential and National Assembly elections. And so, given the performance of your party in the state, do you think you stand a chance? Because I know they say the dynamics will be different on Saturday.
Yeah, honestly, I stand a better chance to win the election, inshallah. The problem we had in the last election is because the actual results of the election has not actually been presented to the public, because in realistic, the election is marred by an absolute rigging, marred by corruption, and yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me, Chamberlain?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, the last election actually is being marred by corruption and massive rigging by the All Progressive People's Congress.
Okay, I think it's...
Yeah, I hear you. I'm hearing you.
All right, we'll just take a moment, see if we can sort that out. But let me just try again. Hopefully it's been sorted. Could you tell us, why do you want to be governor?
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Yeah.
Okay, so I think there's some feedback coming to get into him. So we'll just try that connection again and sort it out. Come back to him. Let me come to you, Mr. Jajari. Yes, indeed, your candidacy, because you also did make reference to how the elections panned out, the presidential elections, how it wasn't straightforward, there were manipulations. Why is that a thing? Because you seem to be on the same page with the NNPP candidates. So is that right?
Thank you for having me. Yes, it is right. The election, there was a lot of irregularities where some people voted without going through the accreditation process. No viewers in many places, vote buying openly, and intimidation. So the election, particularly in Borno State, is far from free and fair.
So Well, that suggests that your party will be looking out for that. But we have heard comments from the ruling party saying that you, in the manner of speaking, paperweight. They don't consider you a serious contender in these elections and that you don't stand any chance.
What is the criteria to be considered a serious candidate? I have been going around all over doing campaign. Even as of just recently, yesterday, I was still out campaigning. Though our president was not declared the winner, I was still going out, telling people that they should come out still. Do not lose confidence, do not lose hope, do not lose faith. Come out and vote. So,
why do you think you stand a chance on Saturday?
People are completely out of disenchanted with the governing party in the state. They're completely out of touch with the people. So people need change. People need change. The civil service, the security, the farmers, there are so many multiple taxation and so many other reasons why people are not happy with APC in Borno State.
Well, Borno State is an interesting state in terms of, what it has been through in the last couple of years. The insurgency has dealt it a fatal blow, and we've been saying that, efforts, has been more in that direction to try and bring the state back to normalcy, clearing of areas hitherto held by insurgents and making sure that, the IDP camps are emptied and people are able to go back to their communities. So it is very interesting to see. It will be very interesting to see just how the people of the state decide that the government of the day has been able to do that. But what precisely are you going to be doing differently, especially by those who are trying to settle back into their lives, and trying to get back their lives, and also preventing perhaps a resurgence? Because we also saw that even on election day there were attempts to disrupt the elections by Boko Haram elements. It shows that the threat is not over. So what are you going to do differently to ensure that lives and property are protected, and for those who have gone back to their communities, they can actually start a new life all over again?
First and foremost, we will work closely with our elders, traditional rulers, community leaders, and work closely with the federal government. As you know, the issue of security is a national problem, and it's not mostly sorted out by the state government alone. Thousands, if not millions, still are in IDP camps. If someone tells you that people are resettled in their communities in Maiduguri, it's far from truth. Maybe some percentages are now settling in one or two localities, but the average, or I should say the majority of people, are still living in different IDP camps.
This is a situation that worries you, the fact that majority of people are still in IDP camps?
They are. I mean, they are living by themselves. They are uncatered for. Nobody comes to their aid. They're living on their own. It's now that there is election, they're going to them and telling them that, okay, if you vote for PDP or any other party, we will not give you food stamp because we have food stamps that they are given in IDP camps, will not cater for you, and so many other threats and intimidation.
Okay, so let me just get this very clearly. Were you and Mr. Umar Alkali in the same political party before now?
Well, never. I mean, he, I think, was in the ruling party and picked the NNPP ticket. So we were never in the same party.
Okay. All right. So because, I mean, the narratives, he says Saturday, last elections wasn't straightforward, it wasn't fair. You narrate the same thing. So it's just needed to clarify and sort that out. But let's get back to him now and get his perspective. Ms. Akali, I hope again it's clear now, because I did ask you, why do you want to be governor?
Thank you very much, Chamberlain. I want to be a governor because I want to bring in my contributions to the state. I want to uplift my people from the abject penury they are living in. I want to change the narratives of the Borno governance and the politics, which is being dominated by only one party, and then which is being characterized by nepotism, religious dichotomy, inability of the state government to resettle the so-called IDPs, because I've gone around the whole state and you see IDPs everywhere. The state has always coming out to tell the whole world on air that all the IDPs have been resettled, which is an absolute lie. And I want to make my contributions to make sure that this state has been uplifted and actually should be in the league of the progressive states in Nigeria.
I've also read different candidates in the state talk about this question of nepotism, and I wonder, so how could you shed more light on this? Is it really going on in the state, and how so?
Yeah, actually, it's really going on, actually, and that's the truth, and everyone can testify to that. The present government has no respect for any other ethnicity apart from the major tribe. When you look at the appointments, most of the appointments, 90% actually are given to one particular ethnic tribe. And apart from that too, the dichotomy between that has been established in the religious within the two religions, the Christianity and Islam, is too wide, because the Christians majority or the minority are actually not being recognized and are not given appointments in the states. And these are the issues that we are talking about. There is no unity, and any government that does not provide unity within its states can never stand the test of time. You have to be, you must have to be, as a leader, you must have to be inclusive. You have to bring in inclusion in your governance, and then you have to accept all ethnic tribes and religions whatsoever, and you have to give them a fair sharing. This is actually what we're talking about. When you look at the commissioners in the state, we have about 22 commissioners in Borno State, whereby you have only one Christian or so, which is very unfair. You have our 36 permanent secretaries in the state. What are the numbers of the Christians there? The Christian communities are there too. And how many tribes are that are holding those positions? So these are things that we're talking about. So we have to change that narrative.
Yeah, this kind of narratives or subject can be touchy, but if there are realistic issues, one would expect that they have to be broached. But have you, or alongside others, sought audience or raised such concerns, brought it to the attention of the government, and what did they say if you have?
The issue is that I was from the APC before I moved into the NNPP, and I contest for same position I'm buying for now. I'm contesting for now in 2019, which I lost in the primaries. But the issue is that the government here does not take advice from anybody. They believe that state is a one-party system, and nobody is going to challenge them. Whatever you tell them, they don't listen to you. That's the problem. It's a government that doesn't have an ears to listen to its people. And as a governor, you have to be. One of the characteristics of a good leader, you have to be a good listener. And these are the issues. You have only one person running this government in this state, and apart from him, there is nobody. All the commissioners there are just being utopian. They are just cosmetics. They are just there. They have no single contributions, and nobody speaks to him and listen to. And that's the most reason why most of us left the APC and then moved into to form the NNPP, so at least we can be able to change a positive change to our people.
That's why I did ask a question if this kind of matters have been broached. So probably I should have rephrased it. But in other words, you're telling us now that while you, probably alongside others who were in the party before they left, brought up this matter with the governor, or probably with the party, and it wasn't considered. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly, we did. We did that several times. The party wasn't even listening to you. I was in the APC. There was never a day I was even invited for a single stakeholders meeting, simply because of their high-headedness, and they believe that nobody can come out to challenge them. Because anytime when there are elections, they use the government instrument of government cohesion, because they have the security in their hands. They use the instrument of government cohesion to suppress the opponents. That's exactly what's happening in this state. And this is not going to be acceptable again.
A number of people have seen images and footage of the governor previously making the rounds or visiting some places, trying to address security in the state, because we know the challenge that exists in the state and in different parts of the country. What is it that you plan to do to ensure that security becomes history in Borno State?
Certainly, security will become history in the state with a collaboration with the security agencies. I've served in the Nigerian Customs Service for 30 years, which I voluntarily retired and joined politics. I served as a paramilitary officer, and definitely we have to sit down. We have to sit down with the security agencies to re-strategize the security architecture of the state. We have to bring in the community leaders, the traditional rulers, because community security is not one man's business. It's all inclusive. We have to put our heads together to see that we have to prosper a permanent solution, so that at least we have a security, and then in this state, so that where security of the lives and properties of the citizens will be surely protected.
All right, so we'll come back to Mr. Akali, but our colleagues in Lagos have got some questions. So both of you, gentlemen, go ahead, guys.
Thanks, Chamberlain. Let me just follow up with Mr. Alkali quickly before we then go to Abuja studio with Mr. Jajari. You are a customs officer. You worked in customs. I think that's what you were referring to, where you said you were paramilitary. Am I correct? Mr. Alkali, that's for you, if you can hear me.
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yes, so you are in the customs, I believe.
Yes, for 30 years.
For 30 years, I mean, and you retired and got into politics. I'd like to get your...
yeah.
Yes, I'd like to get your thoughts on securing our borders and ensuring that at least we have a semblance of sanity across those borders, understanding the positioning of Borno State. What are the loopholes you have seen? I know there's always that talk about we have ungoverned spaces, we have unmanned border points and all of that. What are the solutions to that? Because that is at the root of insecurity, terrorism, hearing that, you know, we have this cross-border militia always coming into the country and even finding their way up until the southern part of the country. So is there a thinking for you, if you are voted and you win this contest, is there something, an idea you have that you plan to bring to bear to ensure better coordination, working with the federal government, of course?
Yeah, we have a plan for that, inshallah. Security is not only for the federal government, even the state government inclusive, and I told the traditional rulers and the entire community. What we are going to do is that we are going to employ the services of our men, you know, to man the borders, even though the borders are so porous, and we have actually a shortage of manpower, you know, to man all these borders, you know. When you look at the military itself, the entire military is more than about, it's less than 300,000. And while the customs, I'm sure they're not more than 20,000. So that's the reason why my mentor, my principal, Senator Rabiu Musa Konkozo, was saying that he's going to increase the number of the military and paramilitary forces to at least 1 million, so that at least they can be able to combat those terrorism or those militias that are coming through our borders. This is exactly what he says he's going to do. But in my own case here, what I wanted to do is, at the local level here, we have the civilian JTF, which actually has not been structured, has not been given a command structure, which I intended to do. Now, what do? What we want to do is that we are going back to the local government areas and recruit men of integrity, you know, of good character, worthy of to emulate, to bring them into the civilian JTF. What we're going to do is we recruit up to like 200 or 100 people at the first instance. Then we come to we bring them to the police college academy here, police college in Maiduguri, and train them. And then we post them back to their localities, because they are the people that actually knows who lives in that community. So we now actually combine them with the Nigerian police or the civil defense, and then so we can be able to monitor and then see who comes in and who goes out. Then we have to give at least a retired police officer or probably a paramilitary officer who has actually a security background to head that particular organization. Because when you look at now, the civilian JTF is being headed by a civilian who has no security idea or knowledge, and then which cannot actually work effectively. So these are some of the measures that we are going to take, inshallah.
Right. Let me take this question about security, Mr. Jajari, in our Abuja studio, because Borno State, I mean, has had that history with terrorism, insecurity, and for a lot of people, that's what they still remember when they hear Borno State. Just recently, we saw that report that about 200 Boko Haram fighters, including women and children, were killed by ISWAP. I mean, that's not the usual story you would hear, but it still speaks to the fact that there's still that challenge of terrorism in Borno State, whether it's between Boko Haram and ISWAP, or this time the civilians are the one at the receiving end. Your background, for a lot of people, well, it's not maybe heavy on security. Maybe you had your time in business and you still do. What is your thinking around security, especially that terrorism aspect? I mean, I know you've had your time in the private sector, but particularly now, security. What is your plan?
As a leader, what you need is mostly capable hands. Surround yourself with knowledgeable people that are in that industry. Security is a common knowledge to everyone in Borno State, and you need that knowledge to take care of the security problems. So it's not something that is cannot be solved. You really do not need a security background to solve security problems in Borno State.
So we'd like to get specifics now. I referred to the issue of terrorism. I just talked about that report, and I'm sure you caught that report too. In fact, you had challenges. I remember the last time we had you, or at least that I spoke to you on the show, you were talking about some challenges around campaigning, where you said that there were, I think, civilian JTF or something who were not in uniform that seemed to attack your convoy, you know, to and fro and all of that. So there's still some of those issues, but particularly for terrorism, what assurance would we be getting from you that, you know, these attacks between ISWAP and Boko Haram will not turn, if you're elected, will not turn into Boko Haram, ISWAP now attacking the people? Do you have a plan to curtail that?
Of course, I have said it already. The security challenges we have, we will sit down with our community leaders, because some of these people, we know them. I mean, they are indigenous of Borno, and most of them are even Kanuris. So we sit with the elders, community elders, traditional rulers, to come up with solutions, local solutions on how to get these people repent, and how to reduce the security challenges in the state, and more so work with the national federal government to work on the securities.
Well, Mr. Jajari, I'm more interested in specifics. If you're vying for that seat, you should already have your ideas, you know, clear. Specifically now, as a follow-up to the concern on security, what plans do you have, you know, to ensure that the borders in Borno, and there are quite a number of them, become manned? And then also about the concern of, you know, the entry of small arms and light weapons into, you know, the country through all of these borders. What plans do you have, you know, to check the influx of those?
We will work closely with the theater commander in Borno State. There is a theater commander, Army General, who has all the security apparatus from customs, immigration, police, and army, and all of them that are working to see that there is, these challenges are curtailed. We will work closely with them and the federal government. That is number one. Secondly, most importantly, the local people, the traditional rulers, the community leaders, to reorient our people that this is not the way to go, and to make them repent. We now have in this administration of Zulum Boko Haram integrated into the communities, into the society, and they're just there. They can even be another threat to our people. So these are what we intend to do when we are elected a governor.
And if you're confident that you can solve this problem, what timeline are you giving, to see results should you become governor?
What we need is the will to do and the commitment to do. Security is a huge challenge, and I don't think something that you can give a timeline to say, I'll fix it within a year or within 6 years or within whatever. But if you put in your best to see that these challenges are resolved, then you'll begin to see results, possibly shorter than anybody can imagine.
I hope that's satisfactory to the people of Borno. Just before I come to you, Mr. Umar, still with Mr. Jajari, you said earlier that it's not true that all of the IDPs have been settled, that thousands are still in different parts of the state and have not been resettled. I wonder if you have a figure to it. If you should be interested in the numbers if you're really vying for the seat with all seriousness. Do you have the numbers? And what plans really do you have, to transform Borno from being a civil service state to, a commercial nerve center where the people will truly be self-reliant economically?
I can tell you Borno has arguably the largest IDP camp concentration in Africa. I have gone to local governments, by local governments, the 27, more than maybe 3 or 4 times to each of these localities. And I can tell you that almost 1/3 of Borno populace are in IDP camps. So it's a huge, huge problem. You go and they just by themselves, and it's only when election period comes that the government goes and gives them some tokens and stuff like that. So it's a huge problem.
Now, Mr. Mustafa, let me come to you now. You talked about employing the people as your approach to tackling the problem of security. And the current administration in other states, also in the north, has deployed that particular approach, which threw up, a debate about the constitutionality of carrying weapons. Some states in the southwest were clamoring for the same right if other states, could have that privilege to do so. I wonder where you are in this and what approach you would deploy as well if you got the opportunity to become governor. Mr. Umar, can you hear me? Mr. Mustafa?
Oh.
That's for you.
My name is Umar. My name is almost...
Mr. Umar, go ahead. That's for you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Can you come back with your question, because I actually referring the question to Mr. Jajari. Please, can you come back? Can you come over again?
Yes, in your earlier response during your engagement with my colleagues in Abuja, you talked about how you would, employ the people to tackle the problem of security and work with, experienced hands in that regard to head an institution. So if that's your approach to tackling insecurity and the problem of insurgency in Borno State, where are you in the debate about carrying weapons, the need for, such security initiatives, the servicemen to carry weapons to tackle, the problem of banditry and insurgency?
Yeah, thank you very much. What we are going to do is that the security architecture of the state, that I'm saying, the civilian JTF, we have to actually restructure it and give it a command structure. I'm not saying I'm going to give them weapons, but I'm going to recruit them and then send them back to their localities, attach them with the civilian JTF who are constitutionally empowered to carry weapons, and police, so that they can be able to be patrolling their localities. That's actually what I'm saying. And secondly, the security, the theater commander, just like my colleague said, Alajajari said, is in charge of the security, the entire security in the northeast here. And they are doing very well, fantastically very well. Because we've gone around all the local government areas in this state. We've been to Monguno, we've been to Damasa, Bagadoro, anywhere you think we've been to. I've even been to Isge, you know, where they thought that's the enclave of the Boko Haram. But I came out safely without any problem. And we have not actually experienced any attack on the road, you know, throughout our campaigns, and then we have done our campaigns peacefully, and I have to give them their recommendations, and they have done very well, and they're doing very well.
Right. Mr. Jajari, back to you now, and I'm particular about this plan for teachers or workers generally, because education is a major solution, some would say, to insecurity. If people are in school, especially children, that they wouldn't grow up to join, you know, terrorism and what have you. I don't know if this is true, but I have seen that you made a promise regarding what will be paid, particularly to teachers. Just to be clear, is it 100,000 naira as salaries, or do you have plans to increase the salaries of workers? And I'd like to know how you will achieve that the IGR. Yes, IGR has been increasing in Borno State over 10 billion naira, but how would you be able to handle that volume of monies if you were to increase salaries? That's from Mr. Jajari.
Oh, I thought the question is referred to my colleague.
No,
Come again.
It's for you. This is particularly about your plans for education. I saw somewhere that you may have made a promise to increase salaries to 100,000 naira for teachers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but looks like you have a plan for improved salaries generally. And my question is how you'll be able to sustain that, seeing the IGR of Borno State. Yes, it's been increasing over 10 billion naira, but how would you be able to at least increase IGR sustainably to cater to such wage bill?
Right now, the problem we have in Borno State is not even salary increment. People are not even getting salaries. People are not getting allowances. People are not getting pension, you know. So my program will be more of paying their salaries as at when due. They're getting their pension as at when due. And when we have enough over time, possibly we'll also look at the increment of salaries.
Do you know why people are not getting, I mean, this is your allegation that people are not getting paid. I imagine that, you know, as somebody who also wants to unseat the current governor, you would know why that is.
I mean, there is huge corruption in Borno State civil service. And they have so many techniques of using ways of not paying salaries, or even after retirement, you get 1 month, 2 months pension in advance or whatever, and then they stop completely. We have pleas of civil servants in Borno State. I can tell you, most of our supporters are from civil service in Borno State.
So when you say there's corruption in civil service, is that who's perpetrating that? The civil servants?
The state government. The state government.
So the state government is what? Withholding the monies that come in perhaps via allocation, and through the taxes they're collecting.
Are you aware that there are people that are receiving 7,000 salary in Borno State right now? 7,000. I can have you text alerts, messages that people receiving 7,000.
Okay, so those are two different issues. If people are underpaid or not paid up to the current minimum wage,
yes,
that is certainly unlawful, and that is an issue.
Yes.
But whether they are getting paid, that is another question entirely.
I'm just trying to
clarify. Is it that they are not getting paid at all, or that they are underpaid?
So both are happening in Borno State. Okay. They are underpaid, and sometimes they don't even get the salaries. And pension doesn't even happen. 50% or more of Borno civil servant retirees are not getting their pensions.
Okay. So let me confirm this, because I also heard you when my colleague asked a question earlier. You talked about how Boko Haram have now been allowed to mix with the people in Borno State. I imagine that you're referring to Operation Safe Corridor, is that correct? Mm-hmm. That was also something that was implemented by the Nigerian army. In other words, you're not in support of the particular policy.
I am in support of that, but integration of Boko Haram into society should be in different steps, should be in different layers. You can't just bring someone and keep him in a camp, no training, no orientation, nothing. And after 5 months or 2 months or 3 months, and you say you're integrating him into society. How is that? And in some cases where I have personally seen, they are even armed. Well, they say they're arming them to sort of protect people against their former colleagues, Boko Haram. But I mean, these are things that really requires us to look at and see if that is something that we want to continue or something that need to be revisited.
All right, so Mr. Umar Mustafa, we have to thank you for coming on the program today. Thank you for your time and all the best to you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so listen, now actually looking at the last results from these last elections, on paper, from that result, this contest is actually appears to be between the APC and the PDP. You garnering about 41%, and that's a strong showing for the PDP. But that's at the presidential level. But at the state level, we know the dynamics will be different. Now, do you think that you've been able to get your way in and around the people in the state to ensure that this kind of showing, you even surpass this? And then if that were the case, the economy in Borno State is a huge challenge. You have to approach that, because at the end of the day, without the economy being stable and people having a job to do, they will turn, possibly.
Yes.
How do you plan to approach
I am very sure that the gubernatorial election will surpass the results we have seen in presidential election. I'm very positive about that. Even the presidential election, the votes were manipulated. If not because of manipulation, that 54% should have been our number, not their numbers. And in gubernatorial, is even going to be more, because the people in the state, their problem is with the governor and how he governs the state.
So perhaps I should even have started asking you, so why did you decide to leave what you were doing and then come into Borno politics? Are you satisfied that you took the right decision?
It's the right decision. I mean, we cannot always sit on the side and be complaining that things are not going well. Things have to be better. Someone has to come and sacrifice whatever he's doing and focus on getting that seat, because I actually feel I could do better than what is obtained right now.
You did, because I think the last time we spoke to you, you complained about there were incidents of security concerning campaigns, your campaigns as well. And it's not over yet, because some of the narratives we see, you also have raised concerns about how the process has gone. For lots of young people who are watching, who perhaps just came into the process, they could be frustrated, having seen what they did, especially they had a good job, they leave it and come into politics. What would you tell those kind of people, considering the stage that you're in now, what you're about to get into, if they were to take a major decision moving forward?
I mean, that is all about leadership. You have to be courageous. You have to be decisive. You have to be visionary. And that comes with a price. And the price, is the uncertainty of how you will be challenged throughout the process. So be it.
But for this weekend now, having seen the way the elections went last time, many were disappointed because they wanted to see some results upload. That didn't happen. Politicians, I think your party too, speaking loudly about that. What do you expect this Saturday? Do you have any assurances or confidence?
What I have done, because most people in my state and in so many other states feel that this election, the last election, was rigged. And so many people don't even have the courage to come out and vote again. But what I have been doing, I didn't sit back. Since the announcement, I've been going out reassuring people that, look, come out. The next one will be better. Come out. The next one will be better. Have faith in the process. And this is what I've been doing. I've gone round the state immediately after the election. I was just coming from Biu yesterday, and I'm returning today to have my rally in Maiduguri. What people need to hear is the word of encouragement. There were even some speculations in my state that I have abandoned the race, I'm not running again, and all that. And I'm coming out and debunk all these rumors that, look, I am strongly contesting still, and I believe I'm going to win.
Okay, so just to clarify, with the IDPs, I know that there has been an attempt to try and get people to relocate to their homes. In some instances, people have refused. People have, you know, sometimes they take the money, sometimes they don't. I know that some funds were provided. I'm not able to verify in whether this was in all cases, but we do know that there have been attempts to do that. How do you intend, because you still say that quite a significant number of people are still in IDP camps. How do you intend to encourage people to leave those camps and go back to their lives?
First and foremost, security is the key. We have seen where people have relocated back to their communities. And then a few days after, Boko Haram came and shuttered the whole place. Security is number one. When people feel safe and secure, then you can live anywhere. And without having a proper security arrangement and safety, I'll not even think of relocating people.
So in your own opinion, would you say that the security situation in Borno is not sufficient for people to go back to their homes?
It's improving, but it's not sufficient enough.
All right. We do thank you for coming on, and we wish you all the best in these elections this time around, hoping that election to go as everyone expects it to go in terms of the process. Muhammad Jajari, governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
We will be